Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kieran. I'm a junior doctor and a comedian working in Manchester. Earlier this year, I went on a bit of a journey of discovery. I decided to read a load of self-help books, books about money making, books about improving your life to see if I could find anything that would help me live my life better. And I went from literally last year reading 0 books that year to this year reading 1 book every 2 weeks. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about my main takeaways from reading I mean basically loads of self-help books to let you know about the main messages from these books and to see what we can learn about them together. Hopefully this saves you from the monotony of actually having to read all of them because some of them are drivel. But let's get into it. So the first thing is doing what you want. This is a theme that has come from a couple of books. One is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. The other is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And both of these books talk about this theme. Consider this. What do you really want? Do you want money? If so, why do you want money? Do you want money so you can buy nice things, so that you can travel, so that you don't have to work? And if so, why are you then working for money? What if you weren't working for money? What if you were just taking these mini vacations through your whole life and enjoying the journey as you went along? This is the essence of the 4-Hour Workweek. It's taking this flawed idea that we need to work and save to then retire and live an average life, and instead saying that we need to take these mini vacations through our lives and try and enjoy that journey. Both of these books talk about putting your happiness first and be honest with yourself about the question, what do you really want? The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is about a big city lawyer that ended up having a heart attack because he was working himself so hard and then transformed his life and quit his job and went to live a simpler life. And in the book, it's about a discovery of fulfillment and happiness. And the question is, how do you get happiness? How do you become happy? And they talk about it in the whole book, but to distill it down, what they actually say is that to find happiness, you need to find what gives you joy and pleasure and focus your life on doing that. And in that way, you will find fulfillment. Takeaway number 2 is about trading your time for money. Now, this is something that's talked about in both Rich Dad, Poor Dad and also the 4-Hour Workweek. Essentially, if you are saving bit by bit and you're salaried, it will become very difficult to grow that wealth. Instead, if you're trading your time for money, we only have a limited amount of time, and actually you don't have enough time to build enough wealth unless you are earning crazy amounts in your salary. Instead of just putting money away in a bank account that's earning hardly any interest, consider how you can make your money work for you. And this is by building assets, which we'll talk about in point number 3. Rather than trading your time for money, focus on trying to build something that will generate money regardless of how much time you've put in. So a system that would be able to make money without you putting physical time in to get that amount of money, if that makes sense. This is how you achieve financial freedom. And this moves on to point number 3 about knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. Now, this is something that is talked about in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's only mentioned in this one book, in none of the others, but I thought it was a really important takeaway about money that I thought I would share, which is that there's 2 things. There's assets and there's liabilities. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket at the end of the month. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket every single month. So an obvious liability is if you're paying car parking, that is money out of your pocket every single month that is going away. If you're paying rent, that's money that is leaving every single month. That's a liability. A house with a mortgage, you might consider to be an asset. But if you live in that house and you're repaying the mortgage every month and your money is leaving your bank account, that is still considered a liability. However, if you have a rental property that's rented for £500 a month and the mortgage payments on that rental property are £400 a month, you have £100 coming in every single month. That is considered an asset that gives you cash flow every single month. And the aim on growing wealth is to build your asset pile more and more and more until you've got that £100 and that £100 and that £100, and you've got so much coming in that you don't need your salaried job anymore. So it's about knowing the difference between an asset and a liability and aiming to grow that asset pile more and more until you could live comfortably on your assets. And when you can, that is when you would be what was considered wealthy. Other assets that they talk about are things like high yield stocks. More modern assets are things like ebooks, courses that you can sell online, and even a YouTube channel. Takeaway number 4 is that compounding is king. And this is something that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. He talks about a 1% increase every single day rather than a big burst of energy. The example that he gives is that if you increase by 1% every single day for 1 year, by the end of the year you will be 37 times better. But if you decrease by 1% every single year, by the end of the year you'll be at basically nothing. This is something that's also talked about in Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect, which is basically just about this concept. The concept that you don't have to make great strides to improve and to succeed. You make small strides again and again and again consistently, and that is when you have proper growth. Basically, anyone can go to the gym really hard for 1 day and then sit on the sofa for the rest of the week. But it takes discipline and patience to go to the gym for a shorter period of time, again and again and again and again. And it may not be tomorrow that you see any difference, or even the next month, but give it a year and actually you will have seen a massive improvement. The converse is also true. A biscuit a day might not seem like much, and if you eat a biscuit a day, in the next week you're not going to notice a difference, you're not going to put on weight. However, if you eat a biscuit a day for a whole year, then you probably will see a difference after that year and you will have put on weight. So it's about persisting each time, getting that little bit better every single time. Like I do with my videos, I try and make each one a little bit better every single time until I look back and I can say, you know what, I think they're better than they have been. Takeaway number 5 is about reducing the barriers to entry. And this is something really interesting from Atomic Habits about how we can build better habits for ourselves. The idea is this, that you are more likely to do something if it requires less effort for you to start doing it. For example, let's say I really want to learn to play the trombone, but my trombone is locked in the attic, and to get the trombone out to play it, every single time I've got to get the key to the attic, go into the attic, get the trombone, put it together and play it. The likelihood of me actually getting that out and using it is very slim. However, if I keep it out by my bedside and it's just there every single day, one day I might feel like, you know what, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to start playing it. So the idea is that I've reduced the barrier to enter into that activity. A visual cue by leaving something out is also a really good way of building a habit. For example, and one of the examples he gives in the book is that he wasn't eating enough fruit, he put his fruit in a fruit bowl, all of a sudden through the day he's picking up fruit and eating more fruit. If you want to go to the gym, instead of thinking about going to the gym, why don't you pack a gym bag, pack some gym clothes and some water the night before, so in the morning you don't have to think twice, you can pick up the bag and go to the gym. Tip number 6, and I just held up 2 fingers. Tip number 6 is about talking to people. Now, I didn't understand that there's a specific way that you can say things to people and talk to people that makes them more understand your point of view. I've built a lot of what I've done around communicating. I've made a video about communicating using a lot of these techniques, but I'll briefly summarize them here. This is from the book Never Split the Difference from the author Chris Voss. And he's an FBI negotiator that basically talks you through some things that you can do to make people understand your point of view. The 2 best techniques that he talks about are mirroring and labeling. Mirroring is repeating language back to someone or copying someone's body language. For example, someone says, I'm really interested in this, but I'm worried about the price. You might say, worried about the price? What makes you say that? It opens it up. You've given them an open question, you've repeated that word worried back to them in a mirror, and it builds that rapport. So really simple communication technique that helps you build relationships. The second one is something called labeling. Now, labeling is slightly different. It's when you call out someone's emotions. You verbalize their emotions back to them. For example, someone is concerned about the price of something. You say to them, "It looks like you are worried about the price," and then leave it there. See what they say. So without them having said anything, you have jumped in and read their emotions. You've read their emotions, said it back to them. They're automatically thinking, you know what, we're on the same wavelength. For example, your boss doesn't want to give you a raise. You might say, "I can see you're in two minds about giving me a raise. Why don't we talk about this a bit later?" Takeaway number 7, and our final takeaway, is outsourcing life. Now, this is one of the things that Tim Ferriss talks about in the 4-Hour Workweek, which is consider the value of your time and consider if what you're doing could be done by someone else. And if it can, try and outsource that. And this is one of the parts of the book that actually kickstarted me into thinking, you know what, I'm going to outsource some video editing. I'm going to outsource some thumbnail making, because I think there are people that can do this as well, if not better than me, that may cost a reasonable amount. The examples he talks about are hiring a personal assistant to go through emails, to make reservations, to organize parties and things for him. So there's loads of ways that you can go about this, but consider, could your time be better spent doing something else, earning something else, and then could that money be spent to pay someone to do things that would otherwise cost you time? So what bits of your life could you outsource to make them easier in an investment way? That's it, guys. That was the 7 main takeaways from loads of self-help books that I have read. I would definitely check out the 4-Hour Workweek if you've not read it before, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, probably my favorite and most inspiring too. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions, drop me a comment, follow me on Instagram, and let's have a chat. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Someone's gotta change.